Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Hi there. Welcome to my other's keeper. I've got Mary with me tonight, and we're going to talk about her journey with fibromyalgia. Is it a disease or a disorder?
It's 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 both. I
Okay, it's a
mean,
condition.
it's a condition
Yeah,
that's more fitting.
more
And it's
fitting.
a
Okay.
condition that in this world is often looked at as it's in here. You're just
Right.
imagining it. You're not really hurting.
Yeah. You're
And a lot of
overblowing it.
yep,
Yeah.
doesn't really matter. It's you're just making it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just take some Tylenol, you'll be fine.
Oh my goodness gracious. I
That
can
doesn't
imagine.
work.
No, I can imagine a lot of addicts are made because of the amount of pain that you would be in and the
Yeah,
consistency of pain.
I tell people that it's like walking in an amusement park.
Mhm.
And you're walking in an amusement park throughout your day, or you've done a heavy
Mhm.
workout. And at the end of the day, you're really sore and achy. Well, that's somebody's fibromyalgia life every day.
Yeah.
I didn't start necessarily with all the aches and pains. What started for me was when I started with the migraines, which
Oh.
is also a side effect. They're wonderful
Mhm. Mhm.
of fibromyalgia. And I was having multiple migraines.
Mm.
I have back pain on a norm. My back
Yeah.
is not in the greatest shape. So I didn't connect all the dots that
Right.
my back pain and all the other aches and pains that were coming with it were actually part of fibromyalgia. I
That
didn't
are part
connect
of the
all the
bigger
dots.
picture.
It was much bigger picture.
Right.
I was also raising a daughter with autism, so
Mhm.
and working, and my husband was um, disabled at that point. So he
Mm.
wasn't working. I was the only person working.
Mhm.
I was too tired to notice, wait a minute, I'm hurting. Well, yeah, I'm hurting. I'm tired.
Yeah.
You get the fatigue. I don't necessarily always necessarily get the brain fog. I get
Okay.
the migraines. I get the tired. I get the achy. I get the low energy. I get the pain. I at that point couldn't really avoid stress. I
Right.
really try to avoid stress now,
For
like the
sure.
plague,
Yep.
because that is a huge, huge uptake in
Mhm.
your pain level.
Yeah.
So it's not just like you're taking a Tylenol and you're making a headache go away.
Yeah.
That would be lovely if it did, but I know that I'm going to wake up in the morning and be in pain, and I'm
Yeah.
going to go to bed in pain, and I'm going to get up in the next morning and go to pain, and it changes who you are.
It does. Chronic pain actually literally can cause people to go mad. Like I'm not one who talks about going mad because I have a mental illness.
Yes.
But it can cause people to go into deep depression, cause
Yes, it can.
people to do things that would be unimaginable to anybody else at any other time, right? Just
Yes.
because it's so constant.
It's it's something that's just always there.
Hmm.
It's just never going away.
Hmm.
And I had a wonderful doctor towards the end of my time before I had to leave work who just, you know, looked at me as a person. He was my angel.
Mm.
And he said to me, I really think that there's something going on here. And he said, I think that you need to be tested for fibromyalgia.
Oh, okay.
And I started looking at the signs and symptoms, and I was like, I'm connecting way too many dots here.
Wow.
And he sent me off to a pain management doctor to deal with the migraines because that was the first annoying thing. I mean, I was getting them almost 2 or 3 times a week.
Wow.
Um, and so he sent me to a doctor and he said, here you go. Here's some medicine. Wonderful. I'll take that.
Right.
And that was to avoid the migraines from coming on the onset of it. And I
Mm.
took them and I said to my husband, could it be possible that the migraines are worse? He said, no way. And so I called my pharmacist and I said, can this make your migraines worse? And he goes, no, it shouldn't. But let me check the side effects. I was part of the 1%.
Yeah. That happens to me
So
all the time.
that had to stop.
Special.
His next thing was, I want to put you on a live x-ray and do the numbing in your neck. I can't do cortisone shots because I have a reverse reaction to whatever they put inside the cortisone shot to make it go, to make it happen. My hand
Oh,
that I had one time swelled up huge, and I was
oh
in worse
my.
pain afterwards.
Oh, wow.
But this is more like an epidural in your neck.
Mm.
Well, my grandmother in her 90s had had one, and I heard people didn't have the greatest reaction to it.
Mm-hmm.
In 2013 was, I call, never want to repeat that year ever again in my life, because it was one thing after another after another.
Oh, no.
My daughter was diagnosed with something else on top of what I was already dealing with. And I just kept saying, Lord, when it's ready, time for me to leave my job, you just have to speak to me.
Mm-hmm.
And we got through that, and it was about a month in, and I got a phone call, and there was just, I needed to be home.
Okay.
There was just stuff going on. I needed to be there. And I heard this little voice in the back of my head, and he said, it's time for you to leave. And I'm like, wait, what? Huh? It's time for you to leave. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
I can't leave. I'm the only person making the income. He was getting, Social Security, but I'm it. I can't
Mm-hmm.
leave. We just signed a year's lease. I can't walk away. You need to leave. So I went to my boss crying, and I said, I was working as a cashier in an auto mall. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, I need to leave. Can I go home? Because I was a wreck. And then I'll come back and give you my 2 weeks. She said, we know what's going on with your family. You need to be home. We'll let you go right now, and we'll feel like it's an extended for 2 weeks.
Right.
So I went home and dealt with what I needed to deal with.
Yeah.
And so by that, I lost my insurance.
Yes. Yeah.
And during that time, my
Mm-hmm.
dad, who had his own pest control company, tore his rotator cuff.
Mm-hmm.
They could not repair it. He had to sell his business. The place, we lived in like a fourplex, and the place next to it was up for sale.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother had been looking at it, and the lady took it off the market. I mean, the contracts had fallen through for 2 years, and she heard our story. And we tried to get my grandmother and my uncle to look at this place,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't want it. And my mother said, Mom, if you don't want it, I want to take it. So we got under contract, and then we had to go through the thing of selling their house,
Yeah.
which was only about 10 minutes away.
Okay.
But we had to pack everything up, and we had to move everything and all that kind of stuff. And so we ended up doing that and getting them moved over to this other place next door to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget it because the walls were hideous.
Oh, no.
They were like this mustard yellow.
Yeah.
And I'm the kind of girl that just gets things done. And my mom's like, I should have never doubted.
Yeah.
And Mary can't get it done. And we just couldn't afford to paint. Well, I had connected with somebody through Home Depot. And because my
Oh.
dad served in the military, they donated all the paint needed to be able to paint this 2-bedroom, 2-bath little place. And not only that, did I get on the phone with the Navy recruiting office, and they sent 10 Navy reserve men to come, and I had 2 in every room painting, and they were doing this for my dad. So we painted the place. We got them moved in there. We got their house sold and everything. And then my dad was officially diagnosed with dementia.
Oh my. Yeah.
And if you're sitting there going and thinking, is that enough, Lord? At that same time, 3 weeks later, after they moved into that house, my uncle went in for knee surgery. He aspirated into his lungs and never made it out of ICU. So my grandmother, who's in her 90s, has now lost her son. all in 2013.
Oh my goodness.
In the mix of that, I, of course, don't have insurance. I'm
Right.
fighting for disability because I know because of the migraines and because of the pain, I really can't work.
Mm-hmm.
And God had a plan. He provided for us to pay our lease every month. He
Mm-hmm.
for me to be there so I could go back and forth and assist my dad.
Right.
And down in the next year be able to assist my grandmother because the same place that she said she didn't want, she actually moved into.
Right.
I can't totally remember when I got to a rheumatologist because that's the person that said, yes, you have fibromyalgia.
Ah.
But I had to pay to go see a rheumatologist to get the diagnosis of fibromyalgia.
Right.
And I went in and he looked at me. He looked at everything. He pressed on me a couple places and he said, yep, you have fibromyalgia. And I had paperwork that needed to be filled out. There's really not much I can do for you.
Wow.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Appreciate that.
here was the thing that was the key. I knew I had it, but now it was time to grieve.
Yeah.
Because somebody finally said, yes, you are confirmed to have fibromyalgia. So now
Mm-hmm.
you go through the grief steps.
Mm-hmm.
Any kind of disease or diagnosis, chronic illness, whatever it is that you're thrown at, you are going to go through a grieving process. And I remember going, this is ridiculous. I know I've had this for a year almost at this point, or 6 months. I can't remember because
Yeah.
2013 was like all over the map. And I was like, okay, I'm going to just go through this. But you go through the grieving steps.
Oh
I
yeah.
remember locking myself in my bathroom, just sobbing. I have to live with this pain for the rest of my life. I was
Wow.
beating the shower walls. I was crying. I was angry. I went through all of the steps of grief. And there's
Yeah.
still some days where acceptance is not there
Oh, for
because
sure.
I'm mad that I can't do what I used to do.
Yeah.
It changes who you are, it changes your body. Once you have said to yourself, okay, I have this, allow
Mm-hmm.
yourself to go through the grieving process.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, you then have to sit down with your family and talk because
Yeah.
things will change. At 2:00 in the afternoon, I could say, sorry, people, I have to go lay down because I have a migraine. Or 2:00 in the afternoon, I could sit there shivering.
Yeah.
Like it's 20 degrees outside and
Yeah.
I'm outside in my pajamas, just shivering cold because my body is in pain. So I'm exuding energy and I get cold.
Mm-hmm.
So I could be under 10 blankets shivering. I can't do anything for 2 hours straight or until I warm
Wow.
up enough to stop the shivering.
Even bend your fingers.
I can
Like
bend them, but
crazy.
I need to lay still to allow my body to warm up because I'm
Oh,
sitting there going like this.
right.
I'm not in, I don't hurt, but I know that my body is going, I'm hurting. Now they
Right.
have, my husband has fibromyalgia, but he has it differently than I do.
Oh, okay.
They said to him, we can give you Lyrica, which I'm allergic
Mhm.
to.
Oh
I
no.
did Cymbalta,
Right.
which I'm allergic to, so you can't even touch Lyrica, and gabapentin.
Yeah. No.
Gabapentin within one pill made me want to unalive myself very quickly. I would not touch
Wow.
that medicine with a 10-foot pole.
No doubt.
Those are the 3 medications that I can take.
Wow.
The only other thing that what normal doctors say is not a fibromyalgia medication is
Right.
pain medicine.
Right.
And I had a doctor who sat there and said, just because you can't take all this doesn't mean you need to be suffering in pain.
Right.
Tylenol is water. You have to take
Yes.
it respectfully and appropriately. But
Water
it's
that will
not,
ruin your liver if you're not careful.
yeah, it's not, I'm not going through withdrawals. My
No.
body's hurting. So I
Yes.
need to lay down in bed, take my medicine, put the blankets over me, and
Mm-hmm.
go to sleep or let my body warm up.
Yeah.
And that can take 2 hours. That
Yeah.
means my whole day stops. I don't
Wow.
drive anymore. I never
Yeah.
drove whenever I took my medication. I didn't
Mm,
drive.
right.
I don't drive because I wind up with panic attacks. That's another part of it. Anxiety, panic attacks,
Mhm.
migraines, insomnia. So you have to sit down with your family and say, here's what I have. Believe it or not, it's not in my head. This
Yeah.
is what I have. And this is how it's going to change our lives, because it's going to change your family's life or the person you're living with and yourself. You're not going to be the same person you were before you did it, before you had it. There's no
For
way.
sure. Yeah,
And you have to
absolutely.
sit down with them and have a family discussion and say, okay, this is what we're dealing with.
Mhm.
I tried to tell my daughter we're avoiding stress wherever we possibly can,
Yeah.
because I I can be a wreck the next day once something stressful
Yeah,
has happened.
absolutely.
And you can't always avoid that.
No.
But when I can, I certainly try to do so.
Mhm.
So you have to sit down and you have to say, okay, this is what it is. And then when you first have it, you have to start documenting. What am I doing today?
Yeah.
Because if your pain level the next day is higher, you need to have a record of what you've done. Okay,
Yes.
this is what I've done. Now my pain level, which I sit about a 2 or 3 every day of my life,
Mhm.
is now a 5, 6. What did I do yesterday that
Yeah.
may have aggravated it? And it
Yeah.
may be pinpointed it. For me, you put me on the highway and I wind up with a panic attack, the next day I'm a wreck. We
Yep.
don't take the highways. We take
Yep.
the back roads. My husband thankfully loves the
Mm.
back roads. It's more beautiful than go on the highway. But I don't like the back. I don't like taking the highway. It puts me
Right.
in too much of a spin. Thank God I live in Ohio where there's nice country roads and all that kind of stuff, and there's beautiful things, but we take an hour longer. So if
Mhm.
you have somebody that you're with and they sit there and go, I don't I can't take the highway, and they want to get angry at you because you can't take the highway and you can't handle it,
Mm.
then you
Mhm.
need to insist that this is what I need to do, because my husband knows if we
Yeah.
take the highway, then Mary's going to have a panic attack. She's
Yeah.
going to hurt more. And I don't like to see my wife hurting. So
For
I'm
sure.
not going to do this to her.
Yeah.
And so you need to advocate for yourself
Mhm.
for things that make your pain worse.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then you
you
need to start putting stuff in your toolbox.
that's right. And that toolbox is great until suddenly it doesn't work anymore.
Yes.
And then you go through a period of time, at least it happened to me. I went through a period of time where my toolbox was still full. It just never worked. So that was a very difficult period of time for me. Has that happened to you before?
It happened recently because
Oh,
my toolbox is in this little bag.
mhm.
It goes everywhere.
Okay.
I crochet a lot, if you can't tell, all around me.
Yeah.
Um, it's not what my channel is about. My channel is about connection.
Yeah.
Um, but I started this about the time I was really diagnosed with fibromyalgia. But these are my tools.
Oh, very nice.
This is how I get through. So for instance, if we went to see The Blind, about the Phil Robertson story, which was amazing.
Oh, right. Yes.
It was an amazing story, and we our car did something, and it jerked funny, and I felt like we were rear-ended, and we weren't, but something happened. I
Right.
should have said to myself, "Wait a minute, you're going to be hurting about 3 hours later." I knew it, but I
Mhm.
didn't think about it, and I should have taken a pill at that point. I could have,
Mhm.
and I decided not to. At about 9:30 at night, after all the adrenaline worn off, I could barely move because it was like somebody had actually rear-ended us. He
Right.
slipped off the brake, the car jerked enough. So I lay down in bed and I fell asleep for an hour and a half. I took my medicine. I woke up, I was
Mhm.
probably about an 8, but I woke up to a 7.
Okay.
And I said, "Okay, if I can't lay here for another half an hour
Mhm.
and make my pain come down,
Yep.
then I'm going for my toolbox, which is my crochet hooks."
Okay.
My husband thankfully can sleep with the light on. I have a neck light. And if I have to stay up till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to crochet away, so I am not sitting here crying in pain
Yeah.
because I can't take another pill.
Yeah.
Every pill that goes in my mouth, do not trust here
Nope.
if you're taking that kind of medication. Look in, put a pill app on your phone, get a notebook, do something. I can look in my phone and say, okay, I had my pill at 2 o'clock this afternoon. I can have it again here.
Right.
I knew I couldn't have another pill till 5 o'clock in the morning. But
Yeah.
goodness gracious, am I going to sit in bed crying over it? No, I'm going to get
Yeah.
my toolbox out.
That's right.
But you saw the post I did.
Mm-hmm.
It was about 3 weeks ago, and my mother and our dog Mocha was
Mm-hmm.
coming out. I was coming in, and my hand got slammed, my right hand, between the door
Yeah.
and the Ring doorbell.
Yeah.
Crunch. I'm
Oh.
watching my hand swell, and I'm screaming, and everybody's asking what's wrong. I'm like, I can't even talk.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, it is snowstorm outside. It
Oh
decided to
no.
snow unexpectedly.
Oh
So I
no.
was like, I think between the fact that we're hearing crunch on the doorbell, your hand is swelling, we need to go have it checked. Well, we did. Nothing was broken. It was just badly bruised and sprained. I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
crochet the next day.
No.
Another thing, especially with women that have fibromyalgia, you will probably notice that your monthly times are
Mm-hmm.
much more painful. So
Mm.
on top of that, it decided, well, let's join in the party.
Or like Reese likes to say, it's Shark Week.
It's not enough, so let's join in the party.
Yeah.
So the next day, all I had was to stay connected. I
Yeah.
stayed connected with people on the lifeboat. I
Yeah.
stayed connected with people in my circle.
Yeah.
I have a Facebook group called the Lighthouse Beacons, and that is to be a beacon to everybody. I stayed
Yes.
connected. I had made friends through the lifeboat, and
Yes.
that's what I had to do. And I told people, I'm really having a rough day. I got involved with a TV series, All Creatures
Oh,
Great and Small. I
I
fell
love that
asleep.
one.
I know.
Yeah.
I like the old one because that's what is familiar.
Yeah.
And I remember texting my mom and I said, can you please bring me a cup of tea and an omelet? And I said, I hate to bother you. She said, you're not bothering me. I mean, I couldn't even get up to fix myself anything. I couldn't work
Mm.
my hand. I was
Mm-hmm.
just in so much pain. I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
You need to ask people for help.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard for me to do. My husband's like, why don't you ask? I said, I don't want to bother anybody.
That's right.
But you have to because you're not the same person before and after the fibromyalgia.
That's
There's
right.
days I have to wear really loose clothing because clothing can actually hurt. The touch
Yeah.
of clothing to your skin can be painful. There's times, a
Mm.
lot of times, if I'm at home, I'm not wearing the thing that the first thing is us as women take off when we come in the house. It
Yeah.
hurts too much to wear. It
That's right.
doesn't go on my skin because
Yeah.
it's just too painful.
Yeah.
On top of the fact that I have in my back bone rubbing against bone.
Ouch.
So I could be walking and my sciatic nerve can decide it's going to have fun and I
Yeah.
could literally drop.
Sciatic is terrible.
And
That
they
on
said,
its
oh,
own
yeah, you're
is really
supposed to
bad.
walk with sciatica. Yeah, right.
No, you're not. Not according to my chiropractor.
They won't even touch me. I can't go to a chiropractor.
Oh,
Chiropractor won't even
wow.
touch me. He said, we can move your back the wrong way. And he said, you'll never walk again.
Yeah.
So, I've had to sit there and say, I have to listen to my body.
Yeah.
And I had a doctor when we moved to Cincinnati
Mm-hmm.
who said, okay, you need to get off this pain medicine and we need to get you on these others, but we'll keep you on the pain medicine right now. I want you to try these 3 medications. Great. We're going to do it my way.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very insistent about it because I deal with the anxiety from fibromyalgia. I deal
Yes.
with anxiety from new medication because of my asthma.
Right.
And I said, okay, we're going to do this, but we're going to do 1 pill at a time. If a doctor
Mm-hmm.
throws you 3 different medications, if they're not life-threatening medications you need instantaneously, do not take all 3 of them at once. You will never know what effects you're having from each one.
Exactly. Yes.
The sleeping pill made me totally sleepy for days, nauseous, and I can't tolerate this one.
Yeah.
So we stopped that, and I took another week or so to get back on track. The other
Right.
medication was something else, and I can't remember what it was, but it's used for schizophrenia patients.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, Mr. Dragon. And, let's throw this one at you. At that
Yeah.
point, then I was nauseous. I wasn't keeping anything down. I was sleepy. I had migraines. It's not going to work. So let's try the third one, which was a
Right.
depression medicine.
Okay.
That made me feel like I was on a boat. And then it also made me like I was so irritable, I couldn't tolerate it. I didn't get like I did with gabapentin, but I was going in that direction.
Right.
And I went back to him and he said, okay, we're going to do it your way. Thank you.
Yeah.
I tried, so
Yeah.
sometimes you have to play their game.
Yeah.
But the stigma that sits there and says, just because you're on pain medicine means that you're an addict. No, it does not.
No.
It means that I can have some kind of semblance in life, and
Yeah.
I do not have to be in agony
Yes.
daily to be able to get through my day,
That's right.
because I don't know what I would do. I really
Like Tommy
don't.
says on the lifeboat, there's times when you have to be on a medication to which you're dependent, but that's
Yes.
not the same as being addicted,
Yes.
right?
And I'll be on it for the rest of my life.
I'm on a class 1 narcotic to which I'm dependent, but I'm not addicted because I'm using it only to the point where my body needs it and no more, no less, right? Same probably with you with fibromyalgia. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, but the problem is that it leaves into saying this isn't something that usually works for fibromyalgia, so it shouldn't work for you. And I have a wonderful pain management doctor. I love him. And he said, you're on a low dose. He said, there are risks, but the risks outweigh your benefits. And he said, we're not changing your medicine. I said, thank God.
Yeah.
I don't want to go through that one again. I thought I went through that one and I don't want to go through it again.
Yes.
One of the best examples to me was learning about it was an actual reel on Facebook. It was talking about your smoke detector.
Yes.
And it makes a beep. Well, I tried to find a smoke detector today to kind of give an example because I wanted to use it on my channel too, but I couldn't find one. But the best thing I could do is find a light. So when we're dealing with pain, we have a little sad face. Most people have a headache. It goes on. And if you have a headache, you take some Tylenol, you take an aspirin, whatever, and a short while later, it goes off. If you are a fibromyalgia patient or a chronic pain patient, your light is never going off. You could dip this in water. You could take the batteries out. You could throw it away. You could stomp on it. You could do whatever. Your switch is broken. You're not going to get it off. What you need, of course, I dropped it. I had it already. Falling apart here. It happens when you get older.
I hear you.
What you need is your toolbox. This is my toolbox. Tells you to shine. So I'm telling people, go check out the lighthouse beacons. This is my toolbox. In my toolbox is my crochet hooks. It's a lifesaver for me. Crochet is something that I get involved in. Wonderful. I'm watching Hazel right now.
Yeah.
I've watched Magnum PI and All Creatures Great and Small and Benson, and I get into all these wonderful series and I crochet the day away sometimes.
Yes.
So this is my toolbox. Connection is added into here.
Yes.
If you're a fibromyalgia patient, your light's on. It's never going to go off, but you have to find a way to dim it. It's still there. It's not going away. It's still going to be there. It just depends whether you're at a 2 or a 3 or a 5 or 6. You're doing whatever you can to muffle, like you would that annoying noise. My husband has an Omnipod. He goes, ee, when it's dying. It's really annoying if he can't find this little thing to turn it off. It's like, can you please turn that off? That's what a fibromyalgia patient is hearing. Their light is always on. So
Yes.
you're doing your best to just diet and not see it.
Mhm.
But it's always here in the back of my head. It's
Right.
never going away. And
Right.
life for a fibromyalgia patient, our life is supposed to be beautiful. For fibromyalgia patient, it's not always beautiful. They
Yeah.
take their pain that's still on and they
Mhm.
put it in there. Now they're carrying around this all day long. And we're
Mhm.
supposed to smile and nothing's supposed to be wrong.
Right. Well,
The,
that's not reality.
no, it's not reality for anybody.
No,
But
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
people don't see it.
Fortunately, I was going to say, fortunately, there's channels like mine, like yours, like Miss Dragons, like the Lifeboat, like TKD for Life has Surviving Together.
Yeah.
And it is all about getting all of us to put our kits together, our toolkits together, because maybe my toolkit has run out today, but somebody else will have something good that they can say to me, right? And
Just,
knowing that somebody is there to listen is
yeah.
sometimes all you need.
I mean, most people look at me, they don't see that I'm carrying this. They don't see the fibromyalgia. They see a
Mm-hmm.
normal person.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They don't see the fact that, man, yesterday was really hard.
Yep.
They don't see it. My light's always on. It's never
Yeah.
going off. And that's a really hard, hard thing and a hard concept to
Mm-hmm.
be able to accept. And you have to go through the grieving process. And your
Right.
family has to be on board. They don't have to understand it. I
No.
sit there and say, I don't make excuses for the fact that I have to take pain medicine. You want to criticize me for it, go right ahead, but you're not living in my pain level every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
See, I
only
live
people,
at a level 2 or 3 pain every day. I don't I don't know that I have fibromyalgia. For me, it is simply lower back pain is generally what it is. And I've heard over the years that anybody who's been SA'd will have back pain. Not everybody with back pain has been SA'd, but chances are, if you have been SA'd, you will have, especially lower back pain.
that's
And
that's
I don't know
interesting.
what it is.
I don't I had some of that happen, but my daughter was probably about 5 years old. She was in the
Mhm.
shower, so she was perfectly safe. And I said, Mommy's going to go through to the garage, grab your dance uniform because I was trying to get her off to dance class. I was trying to get to work, and we had tile floor. She came out of the
Mm.
shower looking for Mommy and
Mhm.
dripping water on the floor.
Oh no.
And I didn't see it, and I slipped and I fell and I heard crack. I have, I at that point could not get off the floor. She was so cute. She brought me a little telephone book to put under my head. So I had a dog, a little toy poodle.
Yeah.
Her name was Abby, and she was running all over the place. And I had the toy poodle. I had my daughter, who was, you know, in the shower. I had to call
Yes.
the neighbor to come and turn off the shower and get her dressed and everything.
Yeah.
I had to call my mom that was at work and say, I've fallen and I literally cannot get off the floor.
Yeah.
So they called the paramedics within an hour
Mm.
because I needed help. And what I
Mhm.
did was I clearly broke my tailbone. I
Oh, wow.
know that I did damage to my lower back. I fell so hard.
For sure.
What was ironic is I went to a doctor later on about it, and he said, "People in your condition." And I said, "Great. I don't like what's coming out the other side."
Nope.
They really helped them to get into a bathtub. And I just looked at him. I laughed. He said, "You've got to be kidding me. It took 3 paramedics to get me off the floor. It's going to take 10 to get me out of a bathtub.
Exactly.
You
It's
want me
slippery.
to you want me to sit I'm sitting on a donut right now and you want me to sit on a hard bathtub?"
Yeah.
I couldn't believe he said that. It's like you obviously have never broken your tailbone. So I've done some back damage. I don't know if that's probably where it's from. I just know that uh I know that I have literally discs rubbing on discs.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's painful. So you've got that, but it's just the touch. I mean, there
Yeah.
are times where my husband cannot hug me. He cannot touch me, or
Mm.
he'll just, tap me a little bit. And it hurts. And
Yeah.
that's really hard
Yeah.
especially when you're married and you're dealing
Oh, for
with it.
sure. Yeah. And he just wants to gently touch you to
He
show
just wants to
comfort
gently touch me.
or
It's like, I can't handle it today. He's like,
yeah.
I'm really sorry.
Yeah. I love you. Don't touch me.
um, my grandfather, which is my papu,
Mhm.
he had multiple sclerosis. Now he was a step grandfather, but he was as much of a grandfather as I could have asked for. Papu is grandfather in Greek.
Okay.
So I don't have a genetic thing to have multiple sclerosis, but he at one point could not get up without the use of a lift. He had
Right.
Canadian crutches, and then he went down from there. You would think that getting somebody up from a bed who has multiple sclerosis who cannot move would be totally painless.
No.
It's not.
No.
When he got up, he would stretch out like a board and wind up in a spasm.
Yeah.
I saw the hurt on his face.
Yeah.
All he wanted to do was make you smile. He was
Yeah.
thrilled to go out and eat lunch, make people happy, watch me swimming in the swimming pool, laugh, have his family over when they would come down, open his house, talk with you. He was just the most amazing man. And there's some times where I sit there and go, I'm not going to complain that I hurt, because I'm going through so much less than he went through on a daily basis. I saw it
Right.
between the multiple sclerosis, the tic Delarue, the TMJ, and yet he tried to put a smile on his face daily. This is my papu. That's my papu.
Oh.
He was the sweetest man that you would ever, ever, ever meet in your life.
Yeah.
And so I got to see him going through it, and I think, I get to walk. He didn't walk.
Right.
But you still have to grieve that. And if you're
Yes.
and part of the reason for doing the channel the way I'm doing it is, for me, crochet is in my toolbox.
Mhm.
Connection has now added to my toolbox.
That's for
When
sure.
you are trying to raise a special needs child, there's a lot of people that sit there going, I don't understand what you're going through. I don't deal. And so God love them, but they just, I didn't have people blowing up my phone to talk to me.
Yeah.
I do now to some
Yeah.
degree. I have people calling and checking in and making sure how I'm doing. And now I'm starting this whole connection thing. And for me, cross stitch,
Mhm.
crochet was
Mhm.
sometimes how I kept my sanity while I was trying to go through all that.
Yeah.
I thought about changing my name, but I thought, you know what? I'm blessed to be able to crochet. What are
Yes.
you blessed to be able to do? It may not be working with your hands. Like I tell
Right.
people on my channel, get out
Yeah.
an adult coloring book and color in it. I don't
Yeah.
care if it's that. Do a puzzle, do a crossword puzzle, paint
I
pour,
used to do
do
paint by
nail art.
I used to do paint by numbers on my phone when I had my first nervous breakdown in 2015. That was one of the few things I could do, is say,
My
okay, it's telling me what color to put where, and that's all I have to do is I have to hit this number to go there, and that's it. And that, just getting that moving in my brain started to change the chemistry.
you're
So
not
yeah,
focused as I'm in pain. I'm in pain.
yes,
I'm in pain. Your lights on. Your lights on, but you're not seeing it.
that's
You're
right.
you're you're it like that fire alarm. You're putting the pillow over it. You're
Yep.
muffling the noise. When then you take away their medication, or you take away their ability to do it, now it's full open and it's
Right.
exposed.
Yeah.
And unless you find something that you can muffle it and put it away, it's still there, you're going to go
Hmm.
stir crazy.
Yeah.
And you will, unless you find how to do it. But I just
Yeah.
said, you know what? I don't want to teach people how to crochet. That's not the journey. There are
No.
plenty of wonderful people on the YouTube that show you how to crochet. It is
Yeah.
not this girl. I probably learned some really bad habits. I learned, this is how I learned, and it's only, I guess, part of my nature is just to keep going and keep trying. But I have a part of me that just keeps at things.
Yeah.
And my aunt came down and I watched her crochet and I thought, oh, I'd like to try that. My husband said, I can teach you how to do that. I'm like, okay, well, we'll try it. And I thought it was neat. And I tried to learn through YouTube, and that
Hmm.
was not going to work. And he didn't show me as well as he thought he could. So there
Yes.
was a place down in Fort Lauderdale that we went down, this little shop that
Hmm.
showed me the basics. And I
Hmm.
went home, and I don't even know where this hat is right now. I wish
Hmm.
I wish I had kept it. I think I gave it to my daughter. They made this hat, and it was just a square hat that she sewed up the sides.
Oh,
And I
okay.
said, it was just single crochet rows of X amount, and then you just gathered them all together. I'm
Okay.
going to finish this hat, and then I'm never going to pick up a crochet hook ever again. But I was bound and determined to finish that hat. And my husband's like, that was your last words that were never say never. I said, I'm
That's
never
right.
picking it up again. I'm just determined to finish this hat. And it was
That's
just
right.
like, I'm like, thank you, Lord, for putting crochet in my life. Because I
Yeah.
really do not know what I would do without it. There are days I cannot get out of bed.
Yeah.
I'm too tired. I'm hurting. I try very hard. My husband likes those morning doctor appointments, and I do
Hmm.
not, because
Hmm.
I wake up, I have my coffee, I sit and relax, I watch the lifeboat,
Hmm.
and I usually take about 2 hours for my body to warm up enough to feel like I can get out of bed. On
Hmm.
Sundays, I tend to rush out of bed because I just have never been a morning person as long as I
Right.
lived.
Right.
And then I know that I'm sore. So how I
Hmm.
counteract that is I go to church and I come home, I have my medicine, and I lay down and go to sleep and have a nap.
Yeah.
And if I try to rush around too much, I'm really sore the next day.
For sure.
So really keep track, especially when it's first onset, of what you are doing on a daily basis. Also, what is going on in your life on a daily basis? And if you can't, for instance, journaling is wonderful, but part of my fibromyalgia and nerve damage is writing is really hard. I can crochet for
Hmm.
hours, but I can't write for long periods of time. It hurts.
Mm.
Put it into your phone.
Yeah.
There's notes in your iPhone. Put it on the
Yes.
computer. Have your husband do it. My husband knows if at any point in time, if you are on that type of medication, if he thought for 1 second that I was using it inappropriately, he has the right to take it away from me, lock it in a safe, and distribute it to me how I need it.
Yeah.
I have never needed to do it, but it's in the safeguard for both of us.
That's right. Well, and the nice thing is you have that trust in your relationship, right? If
Yes.
you thought somebody would abuse that trust, it would be so much harder, and then you'd be in that much more pain just because you wouldn't be in a trusting relationship, right?
Yes.
So the fact that you have that trusting relationship is huge. That's wonderful.
He's my best friend.
Oh, wonderful.
We met online, met when AOL was popular. That's how we met, and
Ah,
we got to be friends first, and it took us a while to connect with each other. And when we got back together again, it's like one of those people that I could literally talk about with anything.
mhm,
And we used to say we have everything in common but the kitchen sink, and then it was the ocean, and then it was that, and you know, he's just, I'm very blessed to be able to do it. But
for sure.
um I know there's going to be people that are going to come on my channel and go, well, I want you to teach me how to crochet. I want you how to do a pattern and tutorial. No, I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
And
that's
when I
not
thought
the purpose
I
here.
I can do this, and I can talk about what I'm passionate about, and I have, between my daughter with the autism, I've raised a child with special needs.
Mhm.
We had to fight to get her a service dog.
Mhm.
Um, I've had addiction in my family. I've had food
Mhm.
addiction. Having the fibromyalgia and having a voice for it,
Yeah.
that needs to be out there.
Yeah.
Having the connection and different things. I have plenty to talk about. I have the gift
Yes.
of gab. Thank you, Dad. Because he never met a stranger either. I mean,
Exactly.
he never met a stranger. So I have plenty to talk about. And I often will come on and I'll wear things and say, this is a channel you can go to find the tutorial to do it. But I
Yeah.
don't want to teach you.
Yeah.
But
See,
what are
I'm a
you blessed
teacher.
to do?
Yeah.
What are you
See,
blessed to do? You're blessed to do something. God's given you a gift for something.
exactly. Exactly.
And yes, he's given me this this cross to bear as far as fibromyalgia, but he has given me something to handle that, and that happens
Mhm.
to be crochet. But you
Mhm.
do not have to be crafty in order to be able to manage your fibromyalgia pain.
Right.
If you're with your local church, find out if you can organize, if you have people in your community that are homeless, maybe you can
Mhm.
start putting together bags,
Mhm.
for the
Yeah.
homeless, or and
Yeah.
have people in your church that crochet would like to put a hat and a scarf in it.
Yeah.
If you can tolerate it, there's babies at the hospital that they will allow you to hold.
At
Go
times,
in
yeah.
home and sit and talk to some of these people
Yes.
that don't have family showing up for them. If you
Yeah.
can foster dogs, we fostered several of them. I've done a video of all the dogs that we fostered. They do not have to have a medical condition for you to
Right.
foster them. They
Right.
just need out. They
Yeah.
just need love.
Yeah.
And people say it's so hard to foster them because they're so cute. Yes, I know they're cute.
Yeah.
Believe me, we have a foster fail that's in the other room. I know, I know they're cute and they're loving, but if you realize I'm doing something good, and they will often help with the medical expenses, they will help with the food expenses. They
Yep.
just need for them to be in a home so they can
Absolutely.
learn more about them. And then you get to have them onto a home and you get to have another animal to love.
That's right. It's
Whatever.
a socialization thing. Yeah, it's
Yes.
being able to get the animal to trust people and to do things and maybe meet other animals without having the aggression issues if possible.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't work around that, but
Yeah.
I mean, that depends on the animal, right?
Yes, it does. I mean, we had one that they learned about him as we had him in the home. And I swore, I said, I'll never own another Staffy again in my life. There's one in the living room. It's actually my daughter's dog that we're caring for, but,
Okay.
and I will have my daughter wants to come on my channel. She loves cosplay stuff. Um, I wanted her to be crafty and did
Right.
nothing. She's nothing like that. But, she messaged me night. She goes, Mom, can we go live? I said, not tonight, but we will. So she wants to come on and,
Tonight you're
you know,
mine.
chit chat, and which I'm excited to do with her because it's a way of connecting with her. She's an
Absolutely.
amazing, amazing young woman who has just blossomed. As a special needs mom, I had to ask for help from people that had to come in and
Yep.
show me how to work with an autistic individual. You have to realize somebody with fibromyalgia is an individual.
Yep.
What works for me is not going to work for somebody else. However, if you do not have something that's in your toolbox, like crochet, like something on your phone, like, an adult coloring book,
Hmm.
you need to find something so you're not sitting there and letting the brain and letting the ants work at you.
Absolutely. Yep.
Um, but you can have 10 autistic individuals in a room at the same time, and they all will be different. What my
Absolutely.
daughter could do, we had a going away party for a friend of mine who
Hmm.
had a little 7-year-old that was autistic.
Mm.
She said to me, before we came to the party, we went to one of those jump places on a Saturday.
Oh
Nope,
boy.
would never have happened with my daughter in any way, shape, or form. We would have
Mm.
left. No way.
Yeah.
He went and jumped around for an hour.
Hmm.
He came to the party. Now,
Mhm.
Jordan was trained as an autistic service dog, which I'm
Oh,
very
okay.
passionate about that subject because of all I had to do for that dog.
Right.
And he was trained. He he didn't go up to this little boy, but he very much wanted to connect. He knew something was going on. But this little boy did not connect with dogs the way my daughter did. It took
Okay.
him an hour at the party to go up to Jordan and just touch his nose for 30 seconds. If my
Mhm.
daughter had been there at somebody's house with a dog, that's all she would have spent the time at doing, is all
Loving up
over
the
that
dog.
dog, loving that dog,
Yes.
petting
Yes.
that dog. Any place that there's a dog, she's all there. So here you have two different people, two autistic individuals on the spectrum acting two different ways.
Yep.
So when you go to your doctor and they say you have fibromyalgia, you need to find out what works for you. It's not going to work for
Mhm.
somebody else. The problem is that they say there's 3 medications. Here you go. This works for people. This is what we usually do for them. Let's just throw them at you. Well, what are you supposed to do if you're allergic to every one of them?
Yes, exactly. Yep.
And I had one doctor who looked at me and said, "I refuse to prescribe this medication for you. You're an addict. Goodbye." I was
Oh
like,
my.
"Have you looked at my chart? Have you sat and talked with me?" My husband was like, she better not come back in here again."
Yeah. Now, I have a question for you. Have you ever tried acupuncture?
I have,
Okay.
and I didn't find it successful.
Okay.
Um, I have been ordered a TENS unit,
Oh, yes, yes.
and we'll see if that works, but normally that doesn't work for me.
Okay. All right.
So, it has to be up to the individual. When I went to
Right.
my doctor here in Mansfield, and he said, "I want you to go for an MRI," which my pain management doctor wants me to have one just to see where my back is.
Yeah.
And he said, "But before we go for that, we need you to go through physical therapy."
Mm.
Okay. It didn't work before, but we'll try it again.
Yeah.
So I
As
went
long as
through
you
the
can
gamut.
do physical therapy without touching me, that's just fine.
Well, he was a great doctor, but that was the insurance route we had to go in order to get the MRI he wanted. Go for
Okay.
the physical therapy, which in
Right.
interim was good because Social Security came back to me and said, "Oh, you can work."
Really?
No, I can't. My
So,
own doctor recently said to me, "We can make you as comfortable as we possibly can, but
yeah.
you're not going to be able to work."
Yeah.
Now, I'm using my channel as a way of connecting with people.
Yeah. Same here.
That's my avenue because there's days I just can't go outside the house. So I'm using it more for therapeutic purposes and connection and so forth.
Yes.
So I was thankful because I went to physical therapy. They were able to turn in a report and they go, obviously the doctor that examined me, I don't know what he was, I don't know what, I don't understand it because a physical therapist goes, "Was he on something? You just, there's no way. You're just not, you couldn't stand for 2 minutes without being in pain. If
Right.
I know I'm going to be walking because of my back for long periods of time, which doesn't happen, I have
Mhm.
a walker with a seat. It comes with me because
Yeah.
I need to sit. And there's
Yeah.
been times I have stood. If I stand straight, you'll see me doing this in the store.
Mhm.
I have to sway back and forth. And then I
Yeah.
get in the car and the tears will be running down my face because the spasms in my back are so bad. I can't
Mhm.
tolerate it. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do this or that or what have you.
Mhm.
So through that whole thing of going to physical therapy, I was thankful because God used that to to come back and say, no, she truly is disabled and she can't.
Right.
But they sent me to physical therapy and then they sent me and said, well, we can't do the normal physical therapy. So let's send you into water therapy,
Oh.
which was wonderful, but it caused terrible bursitis.
Oh, no.
I was in agony.
Oh, my word.
I mean, so what works for somebody else may cause a trigger for for somebody else. I mean, it was terrible. I was like, "What is going on?" And
Was
I
it
had
for
to
is it
stop
in
it.
your
No, it was in my leg.
Oh,
It
wow.
was in my leg because what they would have me do is they would have me go to the end of the pool and just hang there. And I
Yes.
think what was happening is I was hanging there and I was stretching out muscles and I was
Mm.
aggravating them.
Mhm.
And I mean, I had to stop and they eventually canceled it because I'm like, I've got to let this calm down because it
Yeah.
was so painful. So
Right.
what works for you may not necessarily work for somebody else. And
Right.
you and our approach in the doctor's office is say you have fibromyalgia, so you're going to fit in this box.
Yeah.
I don't fit in the box.
Yeah. You don't look very boxy, I will say.
I'm
You're more
thankful for
curvy than
that.
boxy.
I'm thankful for that. But it's like fit in the box. I'm like, go ahead and take this medicine. Well, it don't work. Take this one. Don't work.
Yeah.
So you have to fight. You have to fight for you have to fight. And I've had to fight my entire life for my daughter and for myself and my family.
Mhm.
You have to fight for what you need.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we, my daughter started a new school and there was a vice principal there and she had just gotten her service dog, Jordan, who was
Ooh,
amazing. And the goal eventually was to bring him into the school, but she ended up changing schools before that happened.
okay.
And the vice principal said to me, she said, well, she said, tons of our kids here have ASD, which is autism spectrum disorder, and
Okay.
none of them have service animals. And I looked straight at her and I said, ma'am, I could care less whether one or all of them have service animals.
That's
If
right.
it is helping my daughter's life in any way, shape, or form,
Yep.
she got it.
Yep.
$15,000 later, it was worth every solitary penny. But
Mhm.
if you don't stand up when you have people like that and the doctors that say, well, this is, I could care less whether any of them in that school had it or not. It
Yeah.
was starting to make a difference in our family. It was starting to make a difference in her sleeping pattern. It was making such a difference. And
Yes.
how somebody could come across with that comment.
Yeah.
Oh, if I could have reached across the room. Her and I never connected.
Yeah.
It was just like, sorry, I don't care whether any of them have it.
Yes.
Okay. She wouldn't be where she was if it hadn't been for Jordan. But
And
we
she's
all
doing so well now.
yes, she's married and she's I'm
She's
very
thriving.
blessed. I'm
Yes.
I'm very blessed. She's and she'll be on my channel. She wants to come on.
I saw her in a short that you did, the other day with this beautiful animal just licking everybody. And it was really nice to see the interaction between you and her and the dog. It was
That
wonderful
was
to see
probably
your
Mocha.
yes, I believe it was, yeah.
That was Mocha.
Yeah.
That's my angel. That's my angel.
There you go.
That's one of my
Oh,
favorite pictures.
that's a beautiful picture.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I never thought that day was going to happen because and God's like, never say never. I've got
That's right.
plans.
Yep.
And she's amazing, but she's amazing because I had to fight and I had to fight through
Mhm.
dealing with a chronic
Mhm.
illness. And that's one
Yep.
thing we're going to get on. I said, I want to have you on because I want you to talk about what it's like to have a mom who has fibromyalgia.
Right.
I can't get in the car and drive to her house.
Right.
I've lost the ability to drive. I get in the car, whether it is medical or whether it's in anxiety, I get in the car and feel like my legs are like Gumby.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
I don't feel safe behind the wheel. So I've
Right.
had to say, I may drive again and I may never drive again. I can't get in the car and go see
Right
her
now.
on my own and by myself.
Right.
So she's dealing with a mom that's
Yep.
going to be 29 again.
Oh,
I'm celebrating my 29th birthday over and over again. But
yes.
who most likely will be at a stage in her life where when she's ready to have children, I may not be
Yep.
able to go take them places by myself because I right now don't feel comfortable driving enough.
Right.
And, I tell her, I can't handle stress and I can't handle the highways.
Yeah.
I can't help it. The panic attacks are, it was like Tommy said, it was like a bear coming at you and you're trying to, they're
Yeah.
awful. And
Yeah.
it, my therapist, my husband and I go to therapy and we go together to support each other. And she said, "You're not going to die. We have to help you walk through it, but it's horrible." And I'm so thankful I have a husband that says, "I'm not going to put you through that."
Right.
We moved from Florida to Cincinnati. We never took the highway. We took the back roads all the
Wow.
way through to move.
Yeah.
And we spent 2 weeks and it was, the scenery was beautiful. But my family knew enough and
Yes.
loved me enough. Now we were traveling too with a service dog. We were traveling with my dad who had dementia. So we
Hmm.
didn't need to, we couldn't have done it in 2 days anyway, but
For sure.
I had a family enough that said, "We love you. We're going to take the extra gas and the extra time and do it the way that makes you not have to be in so much pain."
That's what love looks like. That's what family looks like.
Yeah, and
And that's
you have to advocate for yourself.
absolutely. As well, I was wondering how different raising your daughter would have been if you didn't have fibromyalgia. I'm thinking more the empathy and the compassion you have for her invisible portions of her illness.
I've always been, and I've been told by people, "Oh, you're too sensitive." That's been my thing. "You're too
Yeah.
sensitive. You just need," and I finally got to the realization that God made me just a little bit more sensitive than someone else because I had a daughter that did not had to be taught how to be empathetic. Somebody with
Right.
autism has to be taught how to have empathy. They're
Yes.
not naturally gifted with that.
Yeah.
So I could tell very quickly. Now Jordan helped with that because if she was going to have a moment, he would let me know, "Mama,
Mm.
we need some deep pressure here," and he would do that and you would see her face relax. But I was much more in tuned in with her. Where it got hard
Mm.
after I got the diagnosis of fibromyalgia
Mhm.
is what do you do when you have a migraine
Mhm.
and you have to still be up walking around
Yes.
taking care of an individual? I
Yes.
remember being in bed, I think I get rolling migraines where I go
Yeah.
one and it goes away and then it comes back and then it comes back, and sometimes by about the 3rd day, the only thing that works is one of those tortilla pizza things that I can throw in the refrigerator, or I send my husband, I said, "You got to go get me a Big Mac," something, and that, I don't know why it works, or chocolate or something like that.
Yeah.
But I remember being in bed calling my mother, just crying because I was like, I've had a migraine for 3 straight days.
Yeah.
And I put on the TV and we watched Benson,
Mhm.
and I just laid in her bed and I
Mhm.
was like, I couldn't do anything else.
Yeah.
So I didn't stop driving till probably 2018, shortly
Okay.
after my grandmother passed away. So that wasn't an issue. But again, if I'd had my medication, I couldn't get behind the wheel.
Right.
It was not, it was, I could have, but it would have been foolish on my part. And it'd be
Yes.
foolish for anybody who is taking that medication to get behind the wheel.
Right.
Your reaction is not as good as when you're not on it.
That's for sure.
And so you could, if you depend on it to be able to help you through your day and you
Mhm.
get in a car accident and they find you're on it,
Mhm.
then you're going to lose it. And
Yeah.
I guard that. It's like gold to me because
Absolutely. It's freedom, right?
yeah, because it means I can maybe get up and do something. It may not
Eventually.
be
Yep.
looking like everybody else's day,
Right.
but I can get up. I can maybe go do a little something here and there. My husband, after we had our therapy appointment today, and he goes, "I'm taking you to Pizza Hut. You're going to have something to eat and you need to have a pill." And I was like, "Why?" He said, "No, you need to have a pill." He said, the session you had was tough. I can
Mhm.
see it on your face. I can see what's happening. You're going
Mhm.
to eat. You're going to have your medication because you've got something important tonight.
Yeah.
And you're going to be proactive in doing that.
Oh, good.
But
It's awesome that he knows that so well. Like,
oh, he
really, that's wonderful.
and we have to think of the other people too. The other people in your world that have to see you. It's hard. My mother will sit there and say, I'll sometimes just cry because I see my baby girl hurting. And my husband will sit there and go, I so much, how can I help you? There's times I've had to hold his hand just crying.
Mhm.
If you are a woman, you are going to have cycles that are going to be more painful. And let me tell you, they are just unbelievably painful. Your
Mhm.
back, your stomach, your cramps. I mean,
Mhm.
they're exhausting.
Yeah.
And, you know, that in itself is really difficult. And I've had to hold his hand and he goes, there's nothing I can do for you, but just be here.
Right. Yeah.
But
And
you
sometimes that's enough. Like, if all you need to do is just be, that's what I found with my younger daughter. She has ADHD, and one of the things that she needed was just to be. She doesn't need you to help. She doesn't need you to do. She just
Yep.
needs you to be. That's it. And
And
with my ADHD, I didn't understand that because I'm like, I have to do, I have to do, I have to do,
yep.
right? It just didn't make sense to me until years and years later when we were both diagnosed. Neither of us were initially diagnosed. So
Well,
it would have been easier.
my therapist said to me today, she said, you're doing your therapy because my aunt has been diagnosed with stage 4 lung and liver cancer.
Oh, wow.
And so
Yeah.
she's fighting that. And I'm getting a little care package with a chemo blanket in it and a hat and so forth. And I was
Hmm.
doing something real quick today to try to get it done to get the box out in the mail. And she said, you're doing your therapy. She said, you are a go-getter. And she said, I am sure that your fibromyalgia has made that difficult. And she said,
Hmm.
you crocheting allows you the ability to feel like you're doing something.
Yeah.
And I really realized when I hurt my hand 3 weeks ago how much I rely on my crochet hook
Yeah.
to deal with my everyday life
Hmm.
and deal with my pain. And you can sit there for 3 hours and it totally get immersed in it.
Yeah.
So find something to do. I did a show on solo wood flowers and showed how I made the beautiful flowers for my
Saw
daughter's
that. And the
wedding.
blue ones were so
And
gorgeous.
which they come just plain, but and you can dye them
Yeah.
any color you want. And my purpose behind that was I didn't think I could do it. I
Yeah.
did it. And if I hadn't tried it,
Yeah.
I would have never realized I could do it.
Yeah.
So I don't like knitting, but I love crochet. And my
Yeah.
mom's like, where you are now is nothing where you were 6 years ago when you started.
That's right.
And my husband watched me goes a mile a minute. He goes, how can you do that? You know,
Yes.
it's a
Yeah.
rhythm, and you turn on a television show and you watch it and you get involved with something else besides sitting there going, my light is always on. How can I muffle it? How can I not see it?
Hmm.
What do I need to do
Yeah.
to make it happen?
Yeah.
And when you need to rest, you need to rest, and your family needs to understand. And if they
Yes.
don't understand, you need to sit down and talk to them. You need to have a family
Yes.
meeting and say, this is me now. And I've
Yeah.
said to my daughter, I'm different
Yes.
for the fibromyalgia than I was after.
Hmm.
And there's still
How
days where
long have you been diagnosed?
officially since 2013, 14, somewhere in there, but I know I had it before, but what was hard was that all the dots weren't connecting. I
Right.
wasn't starting with the normal stuff. I was starting with the headaches, and the back pain was already there.
Mm.
And there's no blood test that they can say, oh, let's test your blood and see if you have it.
Right.
No,
Yes.
let's just go like this and press you all over. Oh, yeah, you have fibromyalgia.
Yeah.
That's how they
Um,
diagnose it. They don't diagnose it any other way. And
wow.
then you have to learn to live with it. And not everybody's symptoms are everybody's symptoms,
Right.
but we got to put a voice to it and we got to figure out how to get through it and through life itself. And help your family get through it because now
Mhm.
you're a different individual. Like
Mhm.
tomorrow, I'm not doing anything.
Right.
I'm going
Well,
to the
you
post
had a big
office.
day today, right?
Yes, I had a big day today. I'm going to the post office and we're going to celebrate our Valentine's Day with my mom. Of course, she lives with us here, and we're going to watch a
Mhm.
movie. And I'm going to relax tomorrow because I know I'm going to be tired tomorrow.
Yes.
I do what I need to do to be proactive. So be proactive, stay connected. That's what
Yeah.
we're all here for,
Yeah.
is connecting and making friends and saying, I'm having a really difficult day.
Yes. Yeah. Part of my problem is that when I'm having a difficult day, I tend to draw back. I don't tend to go out into connection. I tend to isolate, and that's so unhealthy. I really need to break that
It's
chain.
so much easier than connecting.
Isn't it though? It's
It's and
painful, but it's easier.
then of course you have people go, I know what you're going through. Please
No, you
don't
don't.
say that.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought about it today. I thought, when my daughter was going through what she was going through, I didn't want somebody coming to my couch going, I know what you're going through. If you don't have a child with autism, no, I'm sorry. You don't know what I'm going through. But could you
Right.
just sit on this couch with me? Could you
Yeah.
sit here and let me cry on your shoulder? Can you sit here and let me just talk? Can you sit here and make me forget that I'm stressed or I'm going through or I'm tired? I
Yes.
don't need you to understand.
Yeah.
If I have another autistic mom, I can sympathize with them. I
Yeah.
guarantee you they're dealing with different things than I did.
Mhm.
I didn't have to worry about my daughter, not eloping, but can't think what it's called, running away. She didn't have
Yes.
that.
Right.
And that's another benefit of service animals because they can be trackers. But
Yes.
I didn't have that, thank God. But
Right.
there are they do deal with that. I
Mhm.
don't know what that's like because I didn't have to worry about her doing that.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
had to worry about other things happening and other issues that occurred through that.
Yeah.
You don't have to sit going, well, I want to make it better and I understand. You don't need to understand them. You just need to be beside them, being
That's
their
right.
friend.
That's
That's
right.
all they need.
Exactly. Yeah.
And connection is just it, it's so sad that I missed it for so long. That
Yeah.
people didn't want to connect because and the parents sometimes were just as bad as the kids. They knew
Mhm.
something was wrong with my daughter. She was different, and I've always said to her, your brain just works differently, honey, than everybody else, but you're amazing and you're beautiful inside and out, and I love you. Couldn't ask for a better kid. I know
Yes.
she'll always be my kid. I don't care how
Oh,
old
yeah.
she gets.
No,
She's
my
always
girls
going to be
are.
my kid.
Yeah.
But the parents would give the something's different.
Mhm. Yeah.
We got to do better. We got to do
That's right.
better with our kids and say, doesn't matter whether so and so's different.
Yeah.
Let's if we don't learn how to, we need all these types of minds to make it work. Apple
Yes.
did not come across by somebody like me.
That's right. Yeah.
We needed the technology person that
That's right.
works on that, and we need people like me and people like you that bring people together and connect. We need
Mhm.
somebody over here that understands this and all these
Mhm.
different minds we need, but
Yeah.
we have to find some kind of common ground. And the
Yes.
common ground just needs to be connection. And how can I learn from you? And how can I help you? And where can I step into your life?
Yes. Yeah. Where can I draw alongside you so that when you have a burden, it doesn't have to be quite so heavy. Like they may not be able to carry it for you, but they can maybe put their arm around you while you carry it. Or if your skin hurts that day, just let you lean toward them a little.
It's like I'll ask oftentimes I'll ask an autistic mom. First question I ask is, how's the sleep pattern?
Mm,
9 out of 10 times will say it's terrible.
yeah.
We've now found common ground.
Yes.
It is the one question I start out with. So,
Wow.
what's your common ground? And I was on, somebody messaged me and said they shared my YouTube channel.
Mm,
because there were people in the crochet community looking for connection. They weren't looking for
nice.
tutorials. They
Nope.
weren't looking for somebody to show them how to crochet. They were looking for connection.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And I was like, it's not on there.
Yeah. The
So,
local coffee shop is no longer where people go to connect. The local
no,
coffee shop is where people go to get onto their computer and study or do work or whatever. Ironically, the internet and the technology that we use is how we
or
learn to
maybe,
connect now, right?
well, you're frozen. You're like
Oh,
this. Now you're
sorry.
not. You froze for a minute. I was saying that the other day. I said, how often do we sit there knocking on our neighbor's door going, hello, my name is Mary. How are you? Can I come in for a cup of coffee? I've lived in our neighborhood for 2 years. I have
Yes.
never done that,
Yeah.
but we can do that through YouTube
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
connect.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in Mansfield, Ohio. You're not anywhere near, but we're connecting.
Yes, exactly. I live in Canada. It snowed here yesterday, like, let's see, well, that much. So,
Can you
yes,
send some of that snow here? I'm very disappointed in the
I
snow
know
that we've had in
it's been a
Ohio.
bad
Very
winter.
disappointed.
No, we need all of it. Our farmers are very upset. I live in a teeny
We have
weeny
had
little
none.
town.
We had a lot of wind today, but we have had no snow.
Okay.
I
I
mean, we've
live in
had
a
snow,
teeny
but like
yes,
very little, very different. And like
just
my
a
mom,
skiff here and there, right?
it's been like at times 50-degree weather. And I said, Mom, you get the spring and summer. We get the fall and winter. You can't have the spring yet.
Don't change it around. I want my winter.
And I had a doctor said, you need to move to Arizona because it'll be better for you. And I'm like, I find out the cold weather does me better than actually the warm weather does.
Really? Okay. Hmm.
I you know, so everybody's body is going to be different, but
Yep.
you've got to first accept the fact that you are now a changed individual. You will
Yes.
be doing things
Absolutely.
differently. If you
Yes.
need a nap at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, take one. If you can. If you
Yes.
have a child that has special needs, there
Oh,
are
you can.
respite care agencies
Yes.
available. Oftentimes, the county will pay for it. I would have them come into my home. I could not call my local neighborhood kid,
Right.
can you come over and watch my daughter?
Right.
So the respite care people would come in and they go, you can go to the grocery store and you can go do this. And I said, I'm going to bed for 2 hours. I will see you later.
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes that's the best thing they can do. And with the local respite care, they're trained to deal
Yes.
with somebody with special needs, whereas another child, or like another teenager, or even another mom in your neighborhood
Yeah.
may not know how to do that properly.
Or if
So,
I would do like an older person within our church that I
yep,
knew I could trust. I would not have
yep,
a teenager come in
for sure.
and do it. But you have to have a family discussion. You may have to do things differently. Like when
Yep,
I go to Sam's Club, we pick up 2 chickens. They cost me
yes,
$5. I
yep,
have my Sam's Club with mashed potatoes and a vegetable. I
yep,
do not cook anything because I am tired. If
yes.
I am hurting, I will take one of those old-fashioned strollers and go run the darn store, and I don't care whether everybody looks at me and says, "You're your age, you don't need one of those strollers." No, but I know if I walk the entire store and then go home and have to put all this stuff away, even with my husband's help and my mother's help, I
Mm-hmm,
am gonna be so sore that
mm-hmm,
I'm gonna be in so much pain, I don't wanna deal with it. So
mm-hmm.
if I need one of the little strollers to go around the store,
Yep,
I'm going to use it. And
absolutely.
you have to do what your body needs to do to be able to get through your day and be able to help you. What you're trying to do is reduce that pain. You're trying to keep
Yes,
it where it's not going up. And if it's going up, you've got to know why it's going up. And
yes,
sometimes you can help it and sometimes you can't help it. But then you have to take care of yourself.
that's right. And Miss Dragon, that's the same thing for me. Is if I have had a busy day, like today, for example, what did I do today? I had an appointment this morning, and then I came home and was able to nap for a while. Then I had to do something this afternoon, and then I was able to nap, and then I've got this tonight. The fact that I had 3 separate things doesn't matter if I could nap in between. Today was a big day.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I will be sleeping most of
Yeah.
the day.
And there's
So
nothing wrong with that.
nothing wrong with that, exactly. Having a schedule, having a
Yeah.
routine, shopping every other Friday, absolutely. You got to do what you got to do for how long you can do it, right?
If you have a schedule with fibromyalgia, just realize that you have to be willing to make it flexible.
Yes.
If I get up in the morning and I'm like, oh, we're having a good day. And
Yeah.
then like the sun was really bright. And I said, oh, I want to open the window or open the
Mhm.
verticals. The sun hit me right dead in the eyes.
Ooh,
Within seconds, I had a migraine starting. Well,
absolutely.
my whole day, what I had planned to do has totally changed.
Shot.
And my mother came in later that afternoon. She goes, it's so dark in here. I'm like, yep, I tried opening the verticals and it just hit me right in the eye the certain way and it triggered a headache. So
Yes,
I said, I can't
absolutely.
have the window open today. It's too bright. So just be willing and let your family know my schedule is set to this
Yes.
and it needs to be flexible.
Yeah.
And if I because of my back, because of the fibromyalgia, because of the asthma, because of other things, it's really hard for me. It'd be hard for me to go out in the workforce.
Mhm.
That's another you're having to say goodbye to that because I can't and I know I can't. And I've
Mm.
even said on my channel, and it's in my description in every video, I have fibromyalgia. This is my mom and I's channel, and she'll come on too eventually.
Yeah.
There are days where I may say, I'm going to come on when I had my hand, and I had to reschedule several times because I knew I didn't have the energy to come on.
Yeah.
Between the hand and between the other thing, it was just not happening.
No, that's right.
So I try to
And
schedule, but it may
mhm.
have to be bumped because that's
Yeah,
fibromyalgia life.
that's
So
right.
be flexible. Have something in your toolbox.
That's
Get
right.
connected with somebody.
Sometime we're going to have to do a video together talking about what we have in our own toolboxes and
Yeah.
maybe some ideas for what some people could put into their
Yes.
toolbox. Have the hopefully have enough people in the chat to say, okay, now tell us what you put in yours. Maybe it's something we haven't thought of, right?
Yes.
So, but for right now, I am going to have to say it's been a wonderful chat.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mary,
I
for
will
coming
come
by.
on for more because, again, we went through a list of things that I will be more than glad to talk about dealing, raising a special needs child, raising the funds for a service animal. Um,
Yes.
I'll be more than glad to have people on my channel that want to come on and collaborate like this and
Yeah.
have discussions and tell their story because every
Yes.
story is important and it needs to be told.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
let's
Yes.
just like I tell Tommy, we're going to continue the ripple effect.
That's right. I
And if
like
you need
ripples.
more connection, go to the lifeboat. Come to my other's keeper and Buster Crochet and Mr.
Absolutely.
Dragon and
Absolutely.
let's
Yes.
let's just keep doing I think what social media was intended originally was
Yeah.
this, but I don't think there's enough of this on YouTube and we need to
Nope.
explode
I
it.
agree. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Miss Dragon, for coming. And Sandy Wandy, thank you so much for having been here earlier. I really appreciate your comments as well.
I know my
Um,
mom's watching.
oh,
She's
hi,
watching
Mary's mom.
somewhere. I know my daughter will watch it, and maybe my husband's watching it in the other room,
Okay.
um, but
That's wonderful. All
but
righty. Have a good evening, I
yeah,
guess. Have a good evening
yes,
and get some sleep because it's getting late. So
I'll be up for another little bit, but I will get
yeah,
some
me
sleep.
too. Yeah, I need to wind down now to get to
Yeah,
sleep. Yeah. All
I will.
righty.
I'm going to pull out my crochet hooks in a little bit because I have a few more
Perfect.
crochet projects to finish up. But thank you for
Awesome.
having me on, and I hope we can do it again. And I will have
You're
you on
very
my channel
welcome.
too.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Maybe I can do some painting with you. Because you said you've done some pouring and
I've done some paint pour. You don't have to
yep.
worry about painting the broadside of a barn. I can't do it.
That's right.
So
Yes.
take
All
care,
righty.
Kim.
I'll talk to
Thank
you
you so
later.
much. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.